All right, Outlaw Radio fans, we are live with the legend of the South, Young Bleed. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm pretty good, man. What about yourself, B?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Been looking forward to this interview for quite some time, man, so let's put in work.
Oh, man. Yeah, let's get it on. I'm with that.
All right, man. So what made you decide to get into hip-hop?
I tell everybody I'm about oldest hip-hop nowadays, but I'm a 70s baby, man. So, long in New York, I guess, 72 or something. That was taking place. I was born in 74, so probably, 2 years shorter than hip-hop. But as I was coming up as a kid, just like every other kid in the country, when hip-hop was evolving from the Sugar Hill Gang to Run DMC and however, I found my glitch. I'm born in a musical way. I tell everybody I'm a born artist because, everybody in my family was musically inclined some way or another, but later on in life, I go on to be the one to incorporate it. But I found my musical glitch from the blues to gospel and everything that I was a part of, from African music. By 83, it was like, yeah, this is my thing. And this is how I can combine my forces and create my element for the music genre. So, yeah, I grew right with that evolution of hip-hop and took a liking and a love to it like any other kid in the country, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and speaking of like, taking a love for it, in 1998, you released your debut album called My Balls and My Word. How did that record come to be, and, and what's it like knowing your debut album reached platinum status?
Well, really, we was doing underground work here with CeeLo Records. Guys like Max Manetta, Jay Vaughn had a group called Lay Low, with the world famous producer Happy Perez. So, we did a lot of tapes and sold tapes on the corner when we was coming up. I didn't know that was distribution when we was young in the game. But, I'd be in a dope spot and all that kind of shit, selling weed, the coke, and I had a backpack full of tapes. And I went to the high school and all kind of different stuff like that. So as I evolve and get close to industry, I started thinking what I wanted to call a solo record and so on and so forth. Everybody had their own thing. And just, it was a beautiful time. A God bless time, and the chemistry of the music, the chemistry of the clique, that all kind of evolved into what Balls in My Word became. Now, true life is opposite of Scarface being so close to Texas. I didn't want to go with the Balls in My Word scheme of Tony Montana versus the Godfather. You know what I mean? So I took the whole Corleone persona and Black Hand Side and made it my own thing. But the rest is pretty much history. But yeah, growing into that type of thing, I think they advertised. I used to have a record on the street that the world had never heard. That was called My Balls and My Word that we sold on the tape. Me and Max Manetta had a flip side tape, but he was on one side, I was on the other side, and we sold those tapes in the street for $5. And it was the Balls and My Word song. So with Loc having a glimpse of that, and I guess P, before they, directly talked to me to see what I wanted to name my record, and like I say, going into the Corleone persona, I wanted to call my album An Offer You Can't Refuse. So when you're looking at that record, I get ridiculed for having one of the dopest, shortest songs in the world, The Offer You Can't Refuse, number 4 on the Balls in My Word record. It's short like that because it really was an introduction, you know what I mean? So, basically that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So also, when you mentioned Master P, that's actually my next question. How did you and Master P get hooked up, and what's the story behind that?
Networking pretty much between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. CeeLo was the CEO of his company. Master P was the CEO of No Limit. And we used to go back and forth to Cox Cable and all that to edit tapes. And, guys don't know about the DATs and ADATs and all that type of thing, real. So we'll have to go, from the country/city Baton Rouge to the biggest city, New Orleans, to take our stuff to the next level. So in the midst of that, I guess somewhere or another, CeeLo and Master P hooked up, and naturally we had interest in each other's clique, and those songs was evolving at the same time. And once P got a whim of that, he offered me a deal with Priority Records to come out to California, and like I said, the rest was history. To do a remix, I really had. How you do that was a song off the original self-titled Concentration Camp album that we started doing solo records versus backing up CeeLo on the CeeLo album. So when we started to branch out as a clique and everybody got their individuality, that was my solo song. It was called A Fool. the hook was and they wondered how you do that there. But me and Happy originally produced that record, and from that, when I was making that record, the vibe I got was like, man, when people hear this, they're gonna say that's a fool. I said, you know what? That's what I'm gonna call it. So it was really originally titled A Fool, but once the world got a glimpse of it and No Limit started promoting it, everybody took more, was more familiar with the hook, and we ended up calling it How You Do That for the homecoming at the time, Bout It soundtrack and Bout It movie. You know what I mean? That happened to be one of the star songs on the record, and that led me into, like I say, Priority Records by 1997. June, somewhere in the summer of 1997 in June, 3 months after the death of Big, I was signing right around the corner from where, Big demise took place in sunny California, man. So, I've been running with the game ever since. So pretty much that.
First off, I gotta say, rest in peace to Notorious B.I.G. Gone but never forgotten.
Absolutely, no doubt. Yes, sir. Never. Yeah, man.
You mentioned How You Do That. That's my next question. So you did a song with Master P and CeeLo called How You Do That. When you were creating that song, did you ever think it would be as big as it is today?
Yeah, the vibe from my spirit, like I say, my whole thing was like, when people hear this song gonna be a fool. And that was the title, original title. But like I say, they turned it into How You Do That, and that became, with Pete being a bigger fish, I kind of sat back, seaside saddle. He was already in the game for us, the industry deeper than us, and way bigger than us at the time. So I just rode the wave, and that's what the public took to, and we've been riding that ever since. But that's the origins of that song, man. And yeah, the vibe I had, the records I come from, that's a combination of Parliament, Earth, Wind and Fire, and Aretha Franklin. I've been on the turntable since about 11 years old. Rapping since 9. So my homeboys and DJs in the neighborhood really made mixtapes and house parties and all that type of thing. So I was your backyard rapper, house party rapper, and eventually to the big stage. But in that whole evolution, that was the process of that. And like I said, the rest is history.
So skipping ahead a few years, June 28th of this year, you released your newest studio album called What a Life. What's the story behind that album, and where can we get ourselves a copy?
Well, the whole thing is just in the catchphrase. We was on a tour with some of the independent guys I traveled with across the country maybe 3 or so years ago now, and we was having so many difficulties on the tour. Rest in peace to Reggie Elmore, which was the road manager for us, and personal manager for a friend of mine by the name of Mr. Envy out of Bossier City, Shreveport area. So all of us used to link up on the independent level, and somewhere after one of those tours a year before that, he passed away. And Syke Pacino was an up-and-coming artist from Boston all the way down to Columbus, Georgia. He was a Puerto Rican cat that I was real fond of. I was one of his favorite artists, and in time we'll meet on the strength of my guy Chuck at Work Clothes out of Indianapolis, Naptown. So we was all running together, and another guy we ended up hiring after we lost the road manager was by the name of Rex. Rex was a good friend of mine out of Shreveport. And I might have knew this guy for maybe 6 months, and he died in a crazy car wreck before we could, set it in motion. So with those type of difficulties and personal things, I kept saying every day we'd check out the room, man, what a life. What a, what a effing life. So I said, you know what? I'm going to call my next record that. So it just kind of evolved off of that, and I started, recording records in that sense under that title. And, here again, the rest is history. But for anybody that's interested in it, you can go to my personal label page, which is www.trapdoor, spelled straight out, ent.com, and all the social media sites, from Spotify to Apple, you name it. You know what I mean? It's all over the place.
First off, I gotta say, man, I'm very sorry for your loss, man. It's always tragic when you lose some friends, man. I want to say my condolences to you.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that. Yes, sir.
You created, so going away from your music for a couple minutes here, you created YBTV, also known as Young Bleed TV. How did that come to be, and what services do you offer?
Shout out to my guy Van Ludwig, man. my cousin Cuddy Mack out here, man, just coming back home to the Independence and just sitting around waiting for everybody. I had a situation when I come back home and we really started leaking out a few singles a year prior to now, to prep the world for What a Life, you know what I mean, to get the numbers rolling, get the chemistry and the buzz going. It came a time where I started shooting a couple of videos, one in particular, the What a Life video with one of the guys out this way was a good friend of mine, but then we, kind of fell apart. And having my footage, I shot the video about 6 times, and he could not edit it, put it together, so on and so forth. So when it came down to it, me and my guy, Thomas Woodman, man, we called Van Ludwig, you know what I mean? We had he said, I might could shoot a video, man. Do you ever think about shooting a video with an iPhone? I was like, I never thought about that, but versus nothing, at least let's try it and see what we come up with. So when you go to the YBTV next time, you look at the What a Life video and the Soul of a Main video. Really, Soul of a Main was the first one. We released that going with the Michael Myers scheme with a new Halloween that just come out last year. So exactly 12 a.m. Halloween, we released the Soul of a Main video where you see me with the Michael Myers mask and so on and so forth. But after we did that, he edited and put it together. It looked pretty much, as well as any other video. So I was like, okay, out of interest, let's see if there's anybody else in the industry that have been shooting videos with iPhone. And not only is it other artists that been shooting videos with iPhone, but you correct me where I'm wrong or say the name for me. I forget the guy name that directed Ocean's 11, 13, and all that. Whoever that director is, within that year, he had a movie. I can't think of the name of the movie. It's probably still in the theaters, you know what I mean, or have been in the theaters since last year around the world. And he said that the new direction of film and all that is going toward the iPhone. So we was right on time by heart and spirit and God above it, you know what I mean? So we ran with those 2 videos and everybody dug it. So, pretty much that.
All right, so going back a few questions ago about your own record label. You own your own record label called Trapdoor Entertainment. How did that come to be, and who is signed to your label currently?
I had a few independent labels, but for the first time, everything, I'm the executive producer where it's concerned. I had partnerships with Detention Home Entertainment when I left Priority Records and I went back independent. And shouts out to my big bro, Sebo, West Coast Mafia, Roy Jones at Bodyhead, and the people at Selecto hit that kind of welcomed me home after the Priority fall and all that type of thing. So I always plan like this. I don't mind working with nobody, for nobody, whatever, long as you treat me fair, let's roll. But I'm going to keep keep an opposite hand just in case. I'm not going to stop me. So when all the fall in the industry and all the BS took place, in order to keep putting records out, I always created another independent lane for myself. And starting in 2010, I had the honor and the privilege to work with Strange and Tech Nine, those guys over there. So after my partnership strayed with Detention Home Entertainment after Priority, I started a whole nother label in 2010 and did the same kind of co-op deal with Strange, you know what I mean? So that's your birth in 2009, 10. It's the beginning of Trapdoor Entertainment, and I put out a few underground records here and there, a mixtape, so to say, collabo records, and so on and so forth. So that was my whole thing, just keeping a foundation to continue to work, you know what I mean?
Heck yeah. Do you have any up-and-coming projects that you would like to tell our listeners about?
Yeah, man, before the year is out, I'm finna release a EP called Was It Something I Said, you know what I mean? It's finna come out and going into sometime the top of next year, I'm gonna release my next solo that's called The Legend of Bleezy Rollo. So, I'm always, working on 15, 20 albums or what have you. I make a project when it's not a project. So, the best is yet to come, as far as my continuation. But yeah, that's something. I sleep in the lab, sleep with a microphone behind it, wherever I'm at in the city or any state. I stay connected to the underground and the independence, and just work ethic. Like I say, since a kid, I'm a natural drummer from about 4 or 5 years old. I used to sing in the choir, I was in the opera young. So music always been my life and my entirety. So I'm always keep that thing going, as long as God keep the vibe alive for me, you know what I mean?
So directly right after this interview, I'm gonna be playing a song off your new album called "Still Talking About It." Could you tell like our listeners a little bit about that song? Like what's it about? That way they can get a better grasp over the song when they listen to it.
Okay, go back to this. Really my first verse and how you do that. Well, I say young niggas still dying. So since that time, Black Lives Matter, then evolved. I had a run in with the police in 1998 where the black police showed off with a white cop helmet and I got my face stomped in the ground, went to jail behind the scenes. That was in a few magazines in the beginning, but a lot of people don't know about that. So I'm from the home of Alton Sterling where they murdered this man on TV, so on and so forth. So here again, rest in peace and shout out to Biggie Smalls. The hook is really a biggie from Things Done Changed. I hear these motherfuckers talking about it, but I'm still seeing bodies with the chalk around it. You know what I mean? So, and to that part of it, rather black or white alike, I still see a lot of senseless murders, covered up murders, all the way up to nip hustle and everything else. So it's like I hear everybody talking about peace, love, and happiness, but ain't nothing getting done. And on the black hand side, we shall overcome. We've been saying that since Martin Luther King. And it's like, who you crying out to? And nobody reached back at these ghetto societies, urban neighborhoods and on up into the suburbs, man. So, from drugs to murder to whatever, you know what I mean? It's a civil rights lady that name is Sadie Roberts that was just killed out here in Baton Rouge, stuffed in a trunk at 70 years old. You know what I mean? I'm from the place where civil rights started in Baton Rouge. Everybody give credit to Martin Luther King and Mississippi, but if you know my origins, you know what I mean? It's the home of Phil Moslim. It's the home of Tookie Williams. So when you're talking OG structure, Louisiana is the home of Huey P. Newton. So even before the Black Panthers and everything else that we evolved into on the black hand side of things, that's my soil. I'm born and raised on the back street of H. Rap Brown. So all that's around me. So I mustered that up into, pretty much what's taking place now. You know what I mean? Who you cry out to? Where do we go? You know what I mean? We got things with Trump. Everybody don't agree with that. So, I believe in protect and serve, so on and so forth. But it is crooked police and different things like that. And I didn't experience it. It's not nothing nobody told me. I've been having run-ins with the law. I was my own lawyer at 17 years old and against the state of Louisiana. Me being a black man down here, my word against theirs, you're not finna win. You know what I mean? And the list goes on and on. Free C murder. You know what I'm saying? For us, Louisiana law and old law, the Louisiana Purchase, and those type of politics where we all but 50 years or something behind, and and God knows. So I got a lot of friends and family that's doing life in Angola State Penitentiary out here, one waiting for the death penalty. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot that I done personally experienced before I can get out my house. You know what I mean? For drug abuse and you name it. You know what I mean? Before I got in the community, I could tell you things at 4, 5 years old that you wouldn't think, was possible or should have been possible for a child to encounter and go through. You know what I mean? So I take all that and living this long, yeah, they still talking about it. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody doing nothing. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. So that's what that's all about.
And that sounds like such a powerful, inspirational song. I know the listeners are most definitely looking forward to listening to it. So this is the time that I give a chance for the person that comes on the show to give thanks to whoever they want to give thanks to, or shout outs, and also their social media handles. That way people that don't fully know a lot about you can follow your journey after the interview.
Right on. Yeah. For starters, man, I'm talking about that song and on the chemistry song we mentioned earlier. Shout out to my big uncle Freeway Rick, the real Rick Ross out there in California. He came through on the record for me. Trey D, Sally Sell, Pastor Troy, Skinny Pimp, and Pimpin' Ken. You know what I mean? And the list goes on and on. So I've been fortunate to meet a lot of guys that was fans of my music. I was fans to their work, you know what I mean, streetwise and otherwise. That's real friends and family with me to this day. So that's a blessing. I couldn't ask for a better hand. So shout out to those guys and anybody that's supporting anything Young Bleed is doing, Trapdoor Entertainment and the Corleone family, and of course, my man and brother from another mother, Chris Kleiss, CWK Promotions, you know what I mean, as well as yourself, Brandon, way out there in Canada. Much love and God bless you, like me.
Thank you, my brother.
Yes, sir.
If you want to, you can give your social media handles if you like to.
Okay, yeah. For starters, Facebook. You can go to the Young Bleed fan page. You can, catch up with me all day, every day. On Twitter, it's at Real Young Bleed, and on the IG, Instagram, it's The Real Young Bleed, man. So all day, every day, you know what I mean? And like I said, you can Google me from Spotify to whatever. I'm all over the place.
Hell yeah! Thank you so much, Young Bleed, for coming up live on the air, man. It was an absolute honor. Thank you for your contribution to hip hop, and thank you for keeping it real every single day, man. I'm looking forward to hearing some more of your new work. So thank you very much from myself at Outlaw Radio.
Same here, Brandon. I appreciate you having me, bro. Much love and success, and God bless you. I mean.
Thank you, my brother. You're always welcome back on Outlaw Radio, man. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Okay. Okay, you too, man. To be continued.
Peace, brother.